Isle of Wight Volunteer Stories is a podcast brought to you by the Isle of Wight Volunteer Centre, celebrating the wonderful contribution that volunteers make to island life. We'll be hearing about the different roles and activities that people do, what they get out of it, and what motivates them to start in the first place. Volunteers share some of the highs and lows of their lives, talk about the skills that they learn and the connections that they make on their volunteer journey. We hope this podcast will give you an insight into a world you may not be familiar with, will demonstrate that volunteers come from all walks of life, and perhaps it will inspire you to start your own volunteer story. I'm Sandy Cicognani from Community Action Isle of Wight, and I'll be your host on this podcast. So today I'm at the Donkey Sanctuary in Wroxall, and I'm talking to Elaine, who is a volunteer and a trustee. Welcome, Elaine. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for asking us to take part in this podcast.
You're welcome. If you'd like to just begin by telling me a little bit about yourself and what you do here at this sanctuary.
Well, as you said, I'm a volunteer and I'm also a trustee of the charity, and I became a trustee last October, but I started volunteering here at the sanctuary 7 years ago. And I absolutely love it. And that was 7 years ago. It was 2 weeks after I moved here. I finished with the brown boxes, and it was like, come here and let's work with the donkeys. And I have loved every moment that I've worked here.
Oh, fantastic! What was it that actually drew you to this place to volunteer?
I've always had a love of animals, but when you come here and you look at those donkeys and their eyes and the way they are, and they've all got their own characters, then you just fall in love with them. And
what was the first role that you did when you came here?
First role I did was actually working, we call it the farm, and that is coming in the morning, preparing feeds, because some of the donkeys are on extra feeds, but the important thing is to muck out, so I have clean beds every night, and then go and poo pick in the yard. It's a great way of getting exercising and actually having my love of animals and being in the fresh air. What more could you want?
And do you have to know about donkeys to come and work here?
No, I barely knew anything about donkeys, apart from the fact that as I said, I love all animals, and it was an opportunity to be able to work with them, and I've learned so much. I know how to groom them, how to hoof pick, how to drive the donkey bus, how to lead them. So you learn so much more about them.
Mm-hmm. And what sort of commitment do you have to give here?
Well, it's any commitment, from 2 hours to 10 hours. We have volunteers that do, so it fits in with them. And there's jobs that are both inside and outside. So there's jobs on the farm, we have a cafe, we have a shop, we need people to meet and greet. When it gets really busy, we could do with people that are excellent at parking cars and not taking arguments. And just being able to, actually, can we cut that bit?
There are always arguments. There are always arguments at some point, but some people are very good at dealing with that kind of thing,
Anybody that can keep the peace, absolutely. Yeah. And we know we need help in our cafe as well, clearing and everything else. So there's many roles, and we have people that help in the office. Mm-hmm. So if you like, from the moment you drive down the gate, there is a volunteer that's helping you arrive, that's helping do the fields, that's helping serve your tea and coffee, that's clearing the tables, that's doing the shop. Just to name but a few jobs.
Excellent. And was it, what am I asking? I'm asking whether you needed much training and things like that. What sort of procedures are there?
Well, first of all, apply online, and then Lisa, who's our volunteer manager, who I must say does an excellent job, she will then be in touch with you, invite you here, and then go through the roles that you can do. It may be that actually once you come here, you actually say, actually, maybe this isn't quite for me. And there's so many volunteering opportunities across the island that I think, but I would say that there's bound to be a role here that you really want to get involved in.
Yeah, excellent. And can you tell me a little bit about your role as a trustee?
Well, the trustee, I think the best way to describe it is we're like a critical friend. We're here to ensure that the charity's being run right, that the funds being used, the welfare of the donkeys, welfare of staff and volunteers, and that when people come here, they get the best possible experience they can. So we're like, as I say, a critical friend, like an oversight. Mm-hmm. And I felt actually quite honoured to have been asked to do that, because it's like a step on, almost 7 years having started here, to actually then ask to be more involved. I think really pleased, really proud.
Yeah, excellent. And what is it that you get out of being here and volunteering here?
It's really hard to put into words, just the feeling, donkeys are very emotional creatures, and they're very much in touch, and they understand when maybe you want a bit more. And, I always say you can't beat a donkey hug, but I think me dog and cats would be upset about that. But you can't beat a donkey hug. And as I say, it's a free way of doing exercise, clearing up and everything else. And the people you work with as well. It's really important, and that's both the paid staff and the volunteers. You make great friends out of it, and it's just a lovely place to come.
Yeah. And I was going to say, I know it's not directly related to volunteering, but did you want to say a little bit about sort of donkeys being sort of therapy for people or anything along those lines?
Yeah, I mean, we have some donkeys that go out to, that are community donkeys, and they go out into care homes. We've taken donkeys to the hospice. I can think of one particular care home visit where we had a gentleman who was in the advanced stages of dementia, Alzheimer's, and they just said, could Bella just wait and see him? And she'd been there a long time, and he'd apparently worked with donkeys and had donkeys when he was younger, and he was quite elderly. He came out and he was sitting there very, didn't want to do anything, and Bella went up to him and nudged him. And when you see a donkey do that, it's amazing. And donkeys do know. I know. My personal story is that I was here volunteering when I learned my father went to hospice. So I went into the field of the jacks, and Toby just came up to me and nudged me, and he doesn't often do that, and they just come, and there's just something about them that they're just adorable.
And they're not the only animals that are around here either.
Oh no, we are. We have been the Red Funnel winners for the best place attraction to visit with a dog. When you arrive, we have biscuits on meet and greet.
Oh, wow.
We have blankets for them in the winter. There's biscuits, there's water. And, wherever humans can go, the dogs can go. And it's tremendous, the amount of different dogs we see. We had Great Danes. Not long ago, we had a St. Bernard puppy come in, which was absolutely gorgeous. We had some people that came and adopt. We have Nick, who's one of our blind donkeys, who's brilliant and has coffee as lead. But they came and adopted Nick. And I said, oh, he's our blind donkey. And they said, yes, our dog's blind. So it was like, that's why they adopted Nick, because he had this, the same as their dog, which is great. It's very easy to talk to people when they, around animals. You can just stand there, and when I groom on a Tuesday, people come up and start chatting to you. So you talk to them about the beauties of the animals, beauties of the island, just generally. And actually, a lot of people ask, well, how do you find living over here? And I love living on the island. It's just a tremendous place.
And it's something that you can do all year round as well here, isn't it?
It is. It is. You can do it 365 or 66 days of the year. We're closed to the public on Christmas Day, but otherwise we are open. And on Christmas Day, the donkeys need their Christmas lunch as much as anybody else. And it's a really great way to start. And in fact, I have it was Bella again, taking her into a care home. When the donkey, some visitors the only visitor that some people in care homes will get, nursing homes, it's actually very touching. You feel quite privileged, to be able to just go and do that. And the donkeys, are just brilliant at it. Some of them, absolutely.
That's great. So actually, not all the volunteering has to be done here in Wroxall. You do actually go out and about.
Our outreach. We have an officer for outreach and community work. So our community work is now becoming a bigger part of the sanctuary. And, we want to do a lot more work with the community, because it's important the community can have the same enjoyment. And we appreciate that not everybody come here. So Rachel, who is our community officer, is doing a lot more work and reaching out to different parts of the community, if they want to work with us and what we can do for them. And there's a lot you can do with the donkeys.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for your time. Is there any further thoughts that you want to leave us with?
Yeah, I think what I want to say is that, yes, we'd really love more people to come along and volunteer. But as a trustee, I'd like to say a huge, huge thank you to those volunteers that are already volunteering here and giving many hours of their time in rain, wind, snow, and the sunshine, which is out today.
It's just come out now.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Please come, and I'd just say to everybody, if you haven't been to the sanctuary, it's amazing how many people that live on the island haven't. Please come along. It's free parking. It's free entry. There's a shop. There's a cafe. You don't have to spend money if you don't want to, but we do run on donations, and we have to raise a lot of money every year in order to keep the donkeys in good health. And we just say to people, come along, you know, we want people to enjoy it, and it is a sanctuary. And I'm sure once you've been here once, you'll come again because you'll just love a donkey.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Elaine. Thanks for coming on the podcast and for being a volunteer.
Thank you for asking.
Perfect. If you would like to find out more about how to volunteer, or if you're an organisation looking for volunteers on the Isle of Wight, please go to our website www.iwvolunteer.org or email us on volunteer@actioniw.org.uk.